the men are no longer persuasive? Once they ask you out on a date and you say no, that's it. Yeah, because, honey...
I don't know what the problem is now. You say no, we say okay, and you're complaining.
Why is it that nowadays, once you tell a man no, that's it too. Bye-bye. Gone are the days they try to be persuasive and be on your case for months.
Please, make up your mind. No means no.
So when girls say yes, they mean yes. But when they say yes, they also mean no. When they say no, they sometimes mean no, but they sometimes also mean yes.
So please make up your mind now.
Can someone explain to me how there are grown-ass men in this world that are giving women the silent treatment?
Modern women are upset because men no longer chase them after being rejected. They seem to want to play games, but we're no longer interested in entertaining that, and this is what frustrates them. Here's the thing. Men have learned to respect boundaries. When a woman says no, we take it at face value and move on. We're not going to waste our time chasing someone who isn't interested. The days of men relentlessly pursuing women who've turned them down are over. It's not about being lazy or unromantic. It's about respecting your words and your autonomy. If you say no, we respect that and leave you alone. So, modern women need to understand that men have adapted to a new way of dating and interacting. We're not playing hard to get or giving the silent treatment out of spite. We're simply respecting your boundaries and making sure we don't waste time and energy on someone who isn't reciprocating our interest. If you want something different, communicate it clearly. Otherwise, don't be surprised when we take your no at face value and move on.
Do you notice the men are no longer persuasive? Once they ask you out on a date and you say no, that's it. Yeah, because, honey, if he wanted to play games, he'd go over to his niece and nephew's house. Maybe go play fetch with his dog at the dog park. I don't know. Play on his fucking PlayStation. Anything is better than playing around with whatever kind of woman this mindset comes out of.
Have you noticed that men aren't being persuasive once you say no to a date? That's it. Yeah, honey. If he wanted to play games, he'd go play with his niece and nephew. Maybe play fetch with his dog at the park. Or enjoy his PlayStation. Anything is better than playing games with a woman who has that mindset. Is she expecting us to keep chasing after being told no? Why would we do that? Women need to make up their minds, because we're not here to play games. Once you say no, we're done. No lies were told today. Just the other day, I asked a female friend out. She said no. 3 weeks later, she asked why I haven't tried asking her out again. Seriously? Who would chase after being rejected? Obviously no doesn't mean no for her, but for us, it does. We've learned it's a waste of time to ask again. Modern women need to understand that men are no longer willing to waste time chasing after someone who isn't interested. We take their word for it. Gone are the days when we'd spend energy and resources trying to win over someone who showed no interest. The word no still means no to us, and we take it seriously. If women want to play games or test us, they won't like the outcome. Whenever I see situations like this, I wonder why they think we'll chase them after being told no. What exactly are we chasing? They don't realize the simp era is over. This is a new generation, and we don't do that anymore. You're either interested or not, and we have no problem moving on if you're not. So, it's up to them to stop playing games and take their opportunities seriously when presented. In most cases, there won't be another chance because we're no longer wasting our time. Next, we have a modern woman who's struggling to understand why her man gave her the silent treatment when things got heated. He was just trying to avoid conflict, but she didn't get it. She doesn't realize he's emotionally intelligent. It feels like a no-win situation.
Can someone explain to me how there are grown-ass men in this world that are giving women the silent treatment?
I would be more than pleased to explain that. However, I think the largest part of the explanation is actually in this video.
You know how many comments I see that are like, yeah, when I bring up my feelings, he just doesn't speak. When he's mad at me, he just shuts down.
It's genuinely not that hard to figure out if one actually took a few minutes to think about it.
How does that how is a grown man acting that way? That's not a man, that's a boy.
This guy is mature enough to avoid conflict, but she thinks he's being childish. Did you catch that? It's almost as if the answer is right in front of her, but she refuses to see it. They might call it the silent treatment, but we call it avoiding conflict. Speak your feelings? Wrong. Stay silent? Wrong. Have emotions? Wrong. Have too many emotions? Wrong. Being single and celibate? Wrong. Being in a relationship? Toxic and wrong. You just can't win. An emotionally mature adult won't react impulsively. It sounds like she wants a reaction, which usually leads to people talking over each other, causing misunderstandings and fights. He's actually showing emotional intelligence. Women often give men the silent treatment and shut down, but now she's dealing with an emotionally intelligent man and still finds a way to complain. Sweetheart, if you have a man who can stay quiet even when he has a million reasons to speak up, believe me, you're lucky to have a mature man by your side. This is the thing with modern women. After spending so long entertaining chaos, they lose the ability to recognize a healthy, mature person. They start thinking that chaos is normal, which explains why she thinks the emotionally intelligent man she describes is behaving like a boy. She's not used to or expecting a man to stay silent when she knows he has reasons to respond. Most mature and emotionally intelligent men choose to stay calm because we know it's the best way to de-escalate the situation. But to a woman like her, who's used to chaos, we appear immature. He was actually helping the situation, but unfortunately, she didn't understand that. Now there's also a video of a modern woman trying to redefine the meanings of no and yes. Let's check it out.
So when girls say yes, they mean yes. But when they say yes, they also mean no. When they say no, they sometimes mean no, but they sometimes also mean yes. Yes.
Yes. I bet it's a lot easier to learn a full computer science course. This seems way too complicated. Or maybe it's a yes, but maybe it also means yes. So girls are basically quantum computers. They don't seem to know what they want. Dealing with them is like dealing with JavaScript, and even JavaScript is less confusing than this error message. The system needs a factory reset. When dealing with a confident man, you better be clear about what you mean, because we don't have time to guess. If you say no, we will take your word for it and act accordingly. Don't expect us to insist on pursuing you if you said no. It won't happen. This is why many women later complain that the guy didn't like them enough. Once she says no, he's gone for good. She expected him to keep chasing her to prove his interest, but we no longer operate that way. Modern women will have to adapt to this change. If they want to play games, they should find their best friend to do that with. Lastly, we have a woman who isn't pleased with the outcome of her roster experiment. They all left her, and now she is struggling to deal with triple rejection at the same time. Let's have a look at that video.
You know how they say keep a roster while you're dating helps soften the blow when somebody doesn't work out? Well, what they failed to mention is the possibility that you can end up breaking up with your entire roster in a short period of time. I didn't go through one breakup, I went through 3, back to back.
They didn't tell you the whole story. Sure, having a dating roster sounds like a good idea to avoid getting hurt when one guy doesn't work out. But they forgot to mention that you might end up breaking up with all of them at once. Imagine going through not 1, but 3 breakups in a row. It's a tough spot to be in. But that's not all they didn't tell you. What they also left out is that none of these guys will take you seriously. They know you're not just seeing them, and they're probably just in it for the casual fun. When you're juggling multiple people, it's hard to build something real and meaningful. If you want a serious relationship, you need to focus on one person and give it a real chance. Playing the field might seem like a good way to protect yourself, but it often ends up leaving you feeling more alone and confused. It's time to rethink the whole roster idea and maybe try a different approach to dating.
I thought like if somebody in your roster gets dropped from the team and then you replace them, what do you do when the entire roster disappears overnight? That's not how this was supposed to work. I put so much time and energy into building my roster. Where was the warning label? This wasn't in the fine print. Not like I would have read it anyways, but...
As a man, if I find out you had a roster of guys, it tells me you didn't and never will care about our relationship and won't be loyal. Call me old-fashioned, but how about focusing on one person? If you have a roster, then you're not focusing on any single relationship, and that's why things don't work out. They didn't warn you about what happens when the whole roster disappears overnight, did they? You put so much time and energy into building it, and now it's all gone. Where was the warning label? Probably buried in the fine print you didn't read. Guys can tell when they're just another number. Most of us want exclusivity, and that's why they all left. Imagine trying to be an engineer, a doctor, and a mechanic all at the same time. You wouldn't be able to spend enough time on any of those professions to be effective. The same goes for relationships. Those guys likely found out they were part of a roster and decided to respect themselves by leaving. Not many men want to be just another number unless they're there for one thing, and even then, they'll eventually leave too. Whoever gave you the idea of keeping a roster didn't tell you the whole truth. It's time to rethink your strategy. Focus on one person and build something real. The roster concept clearly didn't work out for you. Trying to juggle multiple relationships at once means you can't give any one of them the attention and effort needed to make it succeed. When you're spreading your time and energy across several people, no one gets to see the best version of you, and you don't get to truly know any of them. Building a real connection takes time and effort from both sides, and that can't happen if you're constantly dividing your attention. Men can sense when they're not a priority. They might stick around for a while if they're looking for something casual, but eventually they'll move on. And when they do, you're left with nothing. That's probably what happened to you. These guys realized they were just one of many and decided they deserved better. They wanted someone who was just as invested in them as they were willing to be. Think about it. Wouldn't it be better and more effective to put your time and effort into one person? You could build something meaningful, something that has the potential to last. Instead of having a roster, try focusing on one person and see how much more fulfilling it can be. The whole idea of keeping a roster might seem like a good way to protect yourself from heartbreak, but in reality, it often leads to more pain. It leaves you feeling more disconnected and confused because you're not giving anyone, including yourself, the chance to truly connect. It's like trying to juggle too many balls at once. Eventually, you're going to drop them all. So, learn from this experience and change your approach. Focus on one person at a time. Give that relationship your all. You might find that when you're fully present and invested in one person, you can build a deeper, more meaningful connection. And that's something worth striving for. Alright guys, we've come to the end of this video, and if you enjoyed it, do well to click on the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to check other videos on our playlist. We've got some amazing contents for you. See you in our next video.